So guys, are you really super excited to know what is business intelligence? How is, as Pratibha asked, how are companies using the data? Are you excited to know about it? I have a question. What do you mean by business intelligence? If from your experience or whatever you have read about it, what do you mean by business intelligence? If anyone want to write or say something, I am more than happy. And frankly, there's no right and wrong question. Even I don't know the answer of business intelligence. So please go ahead.
Smart decisions for business.
Using systems
Different
and
techniques
software
for
to derive insights for business. Awesome. Ramesh, great. Anyone else? Come on. I need at least 5 answers. Collect, stores, analyzes the data. Perfect, Sushma.
different techniques to increase the productivity of the business.
Absolutely fantastic. Okay, I'm waiting for 2-3 more replies, please. Otherwise, we'll stay like this for the next 2 hours.
So in terms of making proper a tool like business intelligence can be a tool which can be used for making proper decisions with regards to any aspect. Take it be financial aspect, like the power of taking perfect decisions, like professional decisions. A
That's
tool which
right.
is used in professional decisions.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Thank you so much for sharing your views.
Thank you.
So a lot of answers in the chat as well. Great. I like it that people are writing and they are thinking about it. So Atul says collecting data and make the decisions. Rajya Lakshmi says visualizing the business data graphically. Absolutely. Naveen says BI is the use of systems and processes to automate the system that build, run, sustain a business. Excellent. VT says it combines business analytics, data visualization, best practices to help organizations make more data-driven decisions. Absolutely. I don't think I have missed any. Okay, Dilzaman said business intelligence comprises the strategies and technology used by the enterprises for the data analysis and management of business information. Absolutely. Shiri said usage of data to get insights and steer a business. Excellent. Shazia said smart decisions for businesses. Absolutely. Neetu says some practices of the organizations to take decisions. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm loving the audience here. Yes, you are one of the best. You are really, writing and thinking from that angle. So let me start now. I think you are well prepared about, what is business intelligence, and let me give you real-time examples and case studies as how this data was used by one of the biggest companies in India as well as in the globe, and they are in million and billions worth of dollars. This company is, and how they are using the data. Before that, I again want to spend maybe another 2 minutes in telling about myself. So I am last 16 years. I have been into the data world. So in 2006, I completed my MBA from KJS Maya, Mumbai, and I got into a company called Fractal Analytics. At that time, not only me, most of the people in this world never knew that there is a industry called data, and this is like really very, very. It's going to be a critical industry over the years. So when I got a job there, I was like, okay, I don't know whether I made the right decisions or not, but believe me, I always believe in Almighty. I always believe in the superpower that's around us. And they just helped me get into the right thing, because since my childhood, I was very curious about numbers, right? And so when I went to the data analytics industry, I realized that numbers have so much of a power. And this power lies with us, because how we want to present this makes a huge impact on the businesses. Right. So I worked as a consultant with Fractal Analytics, with EXL Inductors, and in total, I've spent like 7-8 years working for some Fortune 500 companies. Visa was one of my clients. I have worked in their office in Singapore and in Dubai for approximately 4.5 years. And I've worked like 3 to 6 months of a project for so many other big brands like Chico's, General Motors, Barclays Bank, Genworth Insurance, and it's a huge list. Then when I was working as a consultant, I realized that we do a lot of analysis on the data and we present it to the people, right? We present it to the clients. Now clients consume it and then they say, okay, fine, we will do something on it. We will take some actions, which we are never being informed, because we are third party or we are working from outside. So I never realized that kind of work that I am doing, what is the impact that it is bringing. So I moved as an in-house analytics expert, and I worked with companies like isango.com. I went into proptiger.com. Proptiger.com was actually a collaboration of 3 different web portals: proptiger.com, macan.com, and housing.com. So I was heading the complete web analytics for all the 3 websites. I worked for Cactus Communications, and right now I am heading the business intelligence with Ferns and Petals. And I'm sure you would be aware about this. This is a online gifting platform where users come, they try to buy a cake or a flower or plants or any other gifts for their loved ones, and they get it delivered, at a specific time in a specific pin code or within a city, and with the kind of a love and emotions that they want to show. It's all done through Ferns and Petals. Although I have worked across almost every kind of a data project, right from creating a reporting to creating dashboards in Tableau to a lot of web analytics to business analytics. But my expertise has always been web analytics, where I want to understand, okay, how are users coming on my website? How are they moving from page to page? What are they seeing on any particular page? Where are they clicking? Are they getting diverted to any other link rather than checking out? And how can I bring them back on this route? So this is the kind of a work that I love to do. I love problem solving. So I don't want people to come and tell me that, okay, this is my problem, I want you to extract this data. I said, please, I'll find on my own. You just tell me what is the solution, or what is the problem that you're facing. So problem could be anything like my cost is going up, right? The conversions on the website are dropping, right? My particular category, let's assume in cakes, we are seeing a degrowth, whereas everything else is growing. Why is it that happening, right? Why is it that suddenly people are buying stuff for 1,500 rupees, whereas they were buying for 500 rupees? Why this change in trends? So I'll look at the data from every possible angle, and then I would present it to the stakeholders. And that is when we say that, okay, these are probably 2 or 3 or 5 problems. And then collectively we discuss that, okay, what's next that we should do? Because unless you're not taking an action on a problem, the problem will always exist. So it's very, very critical to take some decision on that, take some actions on that, and then track it, that whether this action is leading to some kind of a growth or fixation of the problem or not. If not, that means we need to now counterattack it with another solutions and take some actions. So most of the companies I've seen, what they do is they look at a problem, they say that, okay, let's make this fix, they change that, and then it's done, right? But as one of the practices, and this is something I've learned over the years, I track that number for the next 6 weeks for sure, right? To see whether the trend is actually going up or not. And in case it's not going up, then maybe the plan B, plan C, whatever we had discussed in the meetings, we execute that and keep on tracking unless we see that for the next 6 weeks or 8 weeks, the growth is there. And finally, something that I love to do is consulting, because when you have learned a lot, I think it's always good to share with others. So I go to different teams, I go to different organizations, and I try to provide my point of view there. It's up to them whether they want to take it or not, right? Any questions so far? Am I going too fast, too slow?
No, sir.
All right, perfect. So let me talk about this very, very interesting case study, okay? And you all can really relate to it, I'm sure. Now, what happened was, there was a person, there was a user like you and me. He had a 6 a.m. flight to catch, right? So he woke up at around 2:30. He took out his phone, went to Uber, and he booked a cab. And then he went to take a bath. When he came back, he saw that his booking was confirmed and then canceled, right? So he again made a booking, again got confirmed. The driver called. He said, okay, I want to go to the airport. So the driver said, I'm sorry, I don't want to go to airport, so I'm canceling the booking. Please rebook it. So again canceled. Like this, his booking got canceled 6 times from somewhere 3 in the morning to 4 in the morning. The airport is almost an hour drive. Now this person realized that if this keep on happening, I will not be able to reach the airport in time. If I don't reach there in time, I'll not be able to take my flight, which means that whatever important meeting I had at a destination, I will not be able to take that. So now very tough situation. 6 bookings already got cancelled. So he picked up his bag. He went on the road. It's 4 in the morning. The public transport is also not available. Luckily, he got an auto. So he sat in the auto and he went to the airport. And on the way, he took out LinkedIn. He found who is the CEO of Uber India. He tagged him in a post and said that, dear sir, I booked Uber 6 times in the last 30 minutes and 6 times it got cancelled. Just in time, I'm reaching the airport. Thanks to the fantastic services being provided by Uber, I'm not going to use it ever, and blah, 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 blah. And he like shouted at that person, right? Have you guys encountered any such problem ever? Have you ever?
Rajat,
Yes, sir, many times.
Many times.
I would be a suitable guy to answer this.
Sure.
Because I work in Uber.
Oh, great.
So the head of India is Prabhajit Singh. This usually happens. I usually handle this short escalation. जो आपने अभी बताया.
Yeah.
This happens usually in the total day of my.
Great.
This usually happens. So I was correlating with my job. So I was like laughing while you were telling this.
Thank you.
Yeah, this usually happens. This usually happens. It depends. It depends upon like.
So that means I cannot fool you around now, either with the problem or with the solution. Right. No. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Rohit. Thank you for at least confirming that this is a big problem. And in fact, like this, there are so many other problems in a day-to-day life that we face, right? Now, for the audience, let me tell you that the kind of a CEOs or the CXOs that I have worked with, what I've realized is that most of these people, they get these kind of messages, right? Either on Instagram or on LinkedIn, where people tag them and they shout about the customer service, about product, about the services or whatever. And what people do is they just send this kind of a problem to one of their team members. And they say, ki, yaar, ek kaam karo, is customer ko call karo, and they just give him a discount coupon and just apologize. And maybe just Uber would have said, ki, theek hai, kaam karo, yes, 2 rides free de do, 3 rides free de do. Let's see what we can do and all this. And things just get ignored, right? The biggest problem that we do with a problem is we usually ignore it. Either it's a health problem, it's a business problem, it's a relationship problem. यही होता है, हम उसको ignore कर देते हैं कि यार ये तो problem है ही नहीं. But what Uber did was something great. They look at things from a different perspective. So the CEO, he went to the head of analytics. Rohit, just correct me if I think it was Mr. Sai.
Yes.
Right.
This again came in LinkedIn too. This again, I heard this in LinkedIn too. Somewhere in LinkedIn post also.
True. So he went to the head of the data analytics, Mr. Sai, and he said that, Sai, what I need from you is, how many consumers are facing a challenge like this, where they are trying to book a cab multiple times and they don't get a cab, and what are the probable reasons for this? Now, what happens is people like us who is into business analytics, when it comes from the CEO, we say that, okay, I'm going to leave every other work and I'll work on this business problem. So probably Mr. Sai would have done the same thing. So he sat with some of the analysts and he started looking into the data. And he said that, okay, there are few metrics that I need to check. Now, my question to the audience is, अगर आपको थोड़ा सा भी डेटा एनालिटिक्स या बिजनेस इंटेलिजेंस का पता है, तो ऐसा क्या मेट्रिक्स आप देखना चाहेंगे which can actually, the trend of that number can tell you whether the problem is there or not. Anyone, any rough guesses? I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah, like we do have timestamp. We do have timestamps for every trip. So basically, there would be a separate term called one term. Like it's like unique ID for every driver.
Yeah.
And every rider. So we have unique IDs for every driver and rider.
Right.
So we can get into that. Like that's it. Not very specific, but from every timestamp, we can get to know how many times the rider has tried to book, and even from the cookies, even we activate cookies, so we would get to know कि कितने बार like they have tried to book the thing.
Right.
कि कितने बार he got assigned. We will get that analytics part.
Agreed. Perfect. Thank you. So anyone else who want to give it a try? Thank you, Arpit. Thank you, Sushma. So I just want to take a step back and tell you that, the companies, they store each and everything that you do on an app or a website, or even if you visit an offline store, wherever, on whichever businesses this is possible, they store each and every information, right? So just think from a cricket match point of view, every ball that is bowled, there are around 200 variables that are stored with that ball. What was the speed of the ball? Who was a bowler? Who was a batsman? What was the field setting? Was it an in-swinger? What is an out-swinging? The speed of the ball, whether it was a spinning, it was fast ball, medium pacer, like this. They store so many things. What over was it? Whether it's a power play or not, right? So they store every possible information in some form or a shape, so that when some decision has to be taken or when some trends have to be crunched, they can look at all the possible metrics. So that's exactly what Uber was doing. And they were storing each and every information. So what they said is that, okay, let us try to see the trends of the request to confirmation ratio. So that means if 100 people are coming on my app and they are trying to book a cab, how many of them were finally able to get get a cab? And second thing that we were checking is what is the cancellation rate. That means how many times the driver has confirmed it and then he has cancelled within the next 5 to 10 minutes, right? So they extracted this data and they saw that basically the booking acceptance rate has been more or less the same, right? There's no as such change in trend that they have seen. And they were seeing this from the last, say, 1 year of a data, and they said that this is more or less, let's assume this number to be around 80%. So they said that this number has been around 80%. There's no such problem as such. So this is what the head of analytics told the CEO. But the CEO said, no, I think we are missing something. Let's go ahead. Let's go deeper. So the head of data analytics, he went into the city level data now to realize that is it a problem in any one city or is it a problem across India? And when he saw the data, he realized that yes, there are few cities where the acceptance rate is lower, comparatively lower than the national average of India. Perfect. Now it could be, now since you are looking at all the data of a particular city, it could be because there are lesser number of cabs maybe, or maybe the city is so huge that there are some areas where the cab drivers don't feel like going, or they are but bookings are coming from that area, so it could be one of the reasons. And the third thing that they thought to do was they said that, okay, let us go a deeper further. Since this problem is related to airports, can we see that what is the acceptance rate when the booking is either to or from an airport? And when they extracted the data, they realized that actually the airport bookings, acceptance of an airport booking was significantly lower, right? I don't have the correct numbers to tell you, but I'm assuming that if we were talking about, say, the acceptance rate of 60%, maybe the airports had an acceptance rate of only, overall acceptance rate was 80%. Maybe the airports had an acceptance of, say, 60%. So they realized that something is definitely wrong, and this person is not lying. It's not a one-off case. This is definitely, so 60% of the people who book a cab either to go to the airport or to come from an airport, only 60% of them actually get a cab. Rest 40% are not even getting a cab, or their cabs are getting cancelled. So very interesting, this problem has now become that why is it happening? What is it? Why is it related to airports only? Right? So like this, they probably would have benchmarked it to other key landmarks in the city to realize whether it's an airport problem or not. Now, the interesting thing is, in such a case, Uber only has this data that whether the booking was accepted, cancelled, or not even accepted. They don't have this data that why this is happening, right? So now my question to the audience is, now that you realized that, okay, the airport acceptance rate is low, how would you define what could be the probable reasons of that? Anyone, if you want to give any wild guesses here? I'll wait for five replies at least.
Ravi Shukla says because of parking.
Because of parking. Okay. Thank you, Ravi. Yes, that could be one of the hypotheses. Absolutely.
Huge traffic.
Huge traffic, Ravi. Huge traffic तो पूरे city में ही रहेगा ना, वो सिर्फ airport पे तो नहीं रहेगा. So let's talk about some big cities like say Bangalore or Pune, तो or even Mumbai, Delhi. और traffic तो वहाँ पे हमेशा ही रहता है. तो फिर तो आपका acceptance overall भी कम होना चाहिए था, अगर आपकी traffic problem है तो.
As the airport is far off from the cities.
I'm sorry.
Far off from the cities. Airports
Far
are
off from the
generally far
city,
off from.
right? But then why would people cancel it? Ideally, they should be taking this ride, right?
Maybe their payment would have been less,
Okay.
according to them.
Great thought. Great thought, Vaishnavi. Good hypothesis to check. Waiting time at the airport. Naveen, again, good point to check. Great hypothesis. So now what happens is that many a times it's not only about data, it's also about some common sense. It's also about some user behavior, consumer behavior, about some standard hypothesis that you need to think, or many a times you need to step into a shoe of a consumer and then think, or get into a shoe of a driver and then think, why would I not accept any such booking where it's related to airport, right? So if I would have been the head of analytics, even I would have done that, I would have written all the possible cases. So as Vaishnavi said, that it could be because it's too far, right? Naveen said waiting time is very high. Shri is saying it's a location of the airport. ठीक है यार, airport जाना है, वो शहर के बाहर जाऊंगा और फिर वहां मैं फंस जाऊंगा, ठीक है? And then traffic could be a problem. So all these scenarios, they are like possible scenarios. Now, what is it that we should do to check these hypotheses, right? So I'm just changing my slide, which I forgot to do earlier, and coming to the next slide. So they started calling the drivers and they said that, you have canceled a booking. Can you tell me why have you canceled it, right? Especially when it's related to an airport booking. So they called up so many drivers who would have canceled at least one of the bookings to the airport. And from that answers, they realized two things. One, the drivers were saying that, it's a very, very lengthy route. Now, lengthy route is fine, right? There is again some insights behind that. So a call center guy would have asked, ठीक है यार, lengthy ride है तो आपको तो लेना चाहिए. अगर आप 1 घंटा जाओगे तो आपका मीटर भी तो उतना चलेगा, आप पैसा भी तो उतना कमाओगे. But few of the drivers said, you know what? Let's assume I am going to an airport and it takes me 1 hour to go and then 1 hour to come back. ये 2 घंटे में ना मैं सिटी में 5-6 राइड्स करके उतना उससे ज्यादा पैसा कमाता हूँ, ठीक है? तो why do I need to struck myself for 2 hours in one ride? Now, this is one of the insights that they got, that drivers are of the assumption कि जब वो lengthy ride रहते हैं, they are not earning that much as much they are earning from the small rides within the city that they can get. And the second problem that they realized is the drivers were saying कि airports पे waiting time बहुत होता है. तो कहते हैं कि सर हम जाते हैं वहां पे एयरपोर्ट पे, अब उसको ड्रॉप कर दिया, अब जब तक हमें वहां से राइड नहीं मिलती, क्योंकि काफी बार क्या होता है, द एयरपोर्ट इज आउटसाइड द सिटी, सो आई कैन नॉट डू एनीथिंग, आई हैव टू जस्ट स्टे एट द एयरपोर्ट. अब एयरपोर्ट पे मैं पार्किंग भी दे रहा हूँ, दैट इज वन प्रॉब्लम. देन आई हैव टू वेट फॉर अ कंज्यूमर टू कम, और जब तक वो नहीं आता तब तक मैं वहां पे अटका हूँ. तो कई बार ऐसा होता है कि 2-2, 3-3 घंटे में एयरपोर्ट पे खड़ा हूँ एंड आई एम नॉट डूइंग एनीथिंग. जब मुझे पैसा अर्न करना चाहिए, मैं वहां सिर्फ वेट कर रहा हूँ, मुझे उसका कोई पैसा तो मिल नहीं रहा. So these were the two big problems that were realized from whatever data they accumulated by talking to the drivers. Now, when you listen to these kind of stories, many a times this is like just out of psychology. ठीक है? For example, आपने एक प्रोडक्ट ऑर्डर किया शॉपक्लूज से, ठीक है? वो प्रोडक्ट घर पे आया, आपने देखा कि यार ये तो बड़ा मतलब नॉर्मल सा प्रोडक्ट है, इट्स नॉट अ हाई क्वालिटी प्रोडक्ट, एंड यू मेक अ assumption कि यार शॉपक्लूज डजंट गिव अ क्वालिटी प्रोडक्ट्स. ठीक है? डेटा पॉइंट एक ही था, उसके बेसिस पे आपने एक assumption बना लिया है. सिमिलरली कई बार ऐसा होता है कि ड्राइवर ने एक ही बुकिंग की होती है एयरपोर्ट की, एंड ही मेड assumption कि अरे यार मैं तो 1 घंटा जाके 1 घंटा लगाया जाने में, 3 घंटे मेरा वेटिंग टाइम था, 1 घंटा वापस आने को लगा, तो मैं एयरपोर्ट की बुकिंग लूंगा. मे बी फ्रॉम वन डेटा पॉइंट, इट कुड बी लाइक एन आउटलायर. So they wanted to check all these things, ki what is happening when the drivers are taking airport booking. Is it really a lengthy ride? and they also created a business case around this, that how much time is it taking city by city? How much time is it taking for a person to go from, let's assume, point A to the airport in Bangalore and then coming back to that? And they also said that within this time, how many bookings could he probably be doing? And they realized that, yes, it's true that a driver can earn more by doing multiple rides within the city, right? And now I remember a few years back, even this was one of the things that I learned from my friends who were taking cabs regularly, that agar long distance pe jana hai to Uber lo, because Uber सस्ती पड़ती है compared to the competitors, right? I don't know why, but maybe their methodology or their calculations at the back end was like this. Now, if that is also true, as a consumer भी अगर मुझे ये बात
Yes, sir,
पता है,
that
तो हो
is true.
That's true. Okay,
Yes.
right. Great. So इसका मतलब ये है कि ड्राइवर्स को इसका मतलब कम पैसा मिल रहा होगा. अगर कंज्यूमर ही कम दे रहा है तो ड्राइवर को भी तो कम मिल रहा होगा. And that means that yes, drivers are right. यार ये एयरपोर्ट नहीं जाना, इतने में तो मैं सिटी की राइड्स लूंगा and I can earn more. So one hypothesis that got confirmed कि yes, that's true, that on a lengthy ride, Uber is reasonable. Consumers are preferring a longer ride, but the drivers are not taking it because they cannot earn as much they can get from the rest of the city. So I think one of the action items that Uber took at that time was they looked into these calculations and they revised it as well. Recently, whenever I try to book anything from Uber or Ola, I find the pricing to be very, very similar. And even for a longer rides, I realized that Uber is charging comparatively more. So maybe they would have fixed this after this case study, right? Number two is the long waiting hours. Now, how can they test this? So what they did is they looked into the data. They said कि एक driver का जो airport गया होगा उसका data देखते हैं and let's see what is happening. How soon is he getting the another ride, right? So they this data and they realized कि कुछ cab drivers को तो बहुत जल्दी booking मिल जाती है next और कईयों को नहीं मिलती है. There are cab drivers who are getting 2 to 3 hours of a waiting time, and there are cab drivers who reach the airport and they get another ride and they come back. So ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है. Look, there's no such trend as such. So then they still looked at the data, and they realized one thing, that this all depends upon the time of the day as well, right? So if you are going during the daytime, when at the airport it's a busy time and flights are coming and going, so it's very easy for a driver to drop someone and he gets the next booking also. So he's okay with it. But if it's a very early morning departure, so let's assume as the case started, it happened at around 4 or 5 in the morning. So the cab driver would have gone there. He has to wait for a couple of hours, maybe because the inward flight traffic is not that much in the morning. So maybe that's why they had to wait. But हुआ यही कि कुछ cab drivers ने देखा, and then they would have spread this word to everyone. यार एयरपोर्ट जाना तो यार अच्छा नहीं है, वहाँ पे इतना वेट टाइम होता है, ये होता है, वो होता है, पार्किंग फीस देनी पड़ती है, घाटे की राइड होती है, तो छोड़ो. And then this news actually, it spreads like fire within the drivers. And maybe because of this assumption only, they started thinking कि यार एयरपोर्ट की राइड लेनी ही नहीं है, irrespective of the time of the day. ठीक है? So now what they did is, now this is how Uber solved this problem. They said this is more like a psychological problem. अब ड्राइवर्स आपको आप वैसे कहो कि यार एक काम करो, आप सुबह 4 से 6 राइड मत लेना, लेकिन बाकी दिन में लेना. It's not that easy to educate the cab drivers, right? So they had to look from a different angle. Now what they did is they went into the data to realize कि यार क्या कर सकते हैं हम, कैसे ये वेट टाइम, चाहे वो दिन के 2-4 घंटे ही हैं जब वेट टाइम बहुत ज्यादा होता है, how can we reduce it? So what very interesting thing they did is they created the clusters. Clusters in the sense, they highlighted a few areas within the city where the traffic or where the rides car request is very, very high, right? And then they created it basis the hour of the day as well. So basically, let's take an example of Bangalore. So Bangalore, you all know there's a lot of rush there, right? Let's say if you have to go from Koramangala to the airport, it's I think 1.5 hours is what it takes, right? और अगर वहां जाके Uber ड्राइवर को 2-3 घंटे वेट करना है और फिर वापस आना है, तो it's like 5-6 hours. तो 8 या 10 घंटे की शिफ्ट में 5-6 घंटे तो एक राइड में निकल जाता है, right? So the way Uber did it, they created small clusters of Bangalore, and then they realized that if it's, let's assume 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. in which clusters the request for the rides is higher, and are these areas closer to airport or not, right? And the way they solve this problem is, as soon as they would send a request for an airport to a cab driver, they would say that it will approximately take you, say, 1 hour to reach the airport, and an estimated waiting time would be 30 minutes or 1 hour, or this is the nearest hotspot where you can go to get your next booking. अब उबर ड्राइवर को क्या लगता है ना कि मुझे तो जाना है वहां एयरपोर्ट तक और उसके बाद मैं यहीं पे वापस आऊंगा, उसको नहीं पता उस एरिया के आसपास ऐसी कौन सी एरियाज हैं जहां पे मैं जाके अगर खड़ा हो जाऊं तो मुझे वहां से राइड मिल सकती है इजीली. So they use this data to highlight, to create these clusters basis of the hours of the day, and then they started sending this as a notification to the driver so that the driver gets this in an education कि ठीक है 1-1.5 घंटा लगा के मैं जाऊंगा तो मुझे उतना पैसा तो मिलेगा ही मिलेगा, बट देन माय वेटिंग टाइम वुड बी लेट्स अज्यूम 30 मिनट्स, और अगर उससे ज्यादा है तो ये नियरेस्ट मे बी 2-4 किलोमीटर मुझे जाना है और मैं उस एरिया में जाके रुक जाऊंगा, देयर आर चांसेस आई विल गेट माय नेक्स्ट राइड. This is how the data is being consumed these days to take a decision and to help solve a problem. उसके बाद उबर ने डेफिनेटली, इट्स नॉट कि उन्होंने ये सब कुछ बनाया और ऐप पे डाल दिया और ड्राइवर्स वुड हैव स्टार्टेड, दे हैव एजुकेटेड द ड्राइवर्स एज वेल कि दोस्तों आपको ये ऐप में लिखा हुआ मिलेगा सब कुछ, ठीक है. एंड देन दे स्टार्टेड ट्रैकिंग कि हमारा जो एक्सेप्टेंस है वो ऊपर हुआ कि नहीं. सो दे वुड हैव ऑफ कोर्स ट्रैक दिस डेटा. Had I been at that position, I would have tracked this data for the next 3 months for sure, क्योंकि consumer behavior change करना बहुत मुश्किल होता है. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने आज कुछ ऐप में लॉन्च किया and next day the drivers would be accepting it. ड्राइवर्स भी 1-2 हफ्ते के बाद शायद उसको ट्राई करेंगे, फिर हो सकता है उनको नेक्स्ट बुकिंग इजीली मिल रही हो, एंड देन दे वुड रियलाइज कि ठीक है यार एयरपोर्ट जा सकते हैं. एंड नॉट एवरीवन विल डू दैट. मेनी ऑफ देम वुड स्टिल बी वेरी स्टबन कि नहीं मैं तो एयरपोर्ट तो जाऊंगा ही. सो मे बी देयर एक्सेप्टेंस rate of an airport booking is still very low. But as a data analyst, I would have tracked this number driver by driver, hour of the day, and would have seen the trends, whether what is going up, what is still down, and how can I improve it. Any questions so far before I get into the part 2 of this? Was it interesting, first of all? Okay, not interesting. Seems like most of the people have slept.
So Raja Lakshmi says exactly. Driver should educate in this.
Yes. Raja Lakshmi, out of my experience, I'm telling, many times what happens is we as a data analytics guys, we sit in one room and we create some strategies, right? We sit with the CXOs, we create these strategies and we say, "Okay, let us get it implemented on a website, or let us get it implemented on an app," right? And people will automatically understand. But that automatically actually doesn't happen, especially when your user behavior are people like drivers, right? So they are definitely not that educated. तो उनको तो बताना पड़ता है कि यार ये नोटिफिकेशन ऐसा आएगा. कईयों को मे बी काफी ना अपनी एप्स हिंदी में रखी होती है, तो वो हिंदी में भी वो सारी इंफॉर्मेशन उनको देना, ताकि उनको इवन एक राइड करते हुए जब उनके पास पॉपअप आता है कि आपकी नेक्स्ट राइड एयरपोर्ट की है, तो उसको क्लियरली लिखा होना चाहिए कि एयरपोर्ट की राइड है, 30 मिनट्स में भी आपका वेटिंग टाइम होगा, या फिर ये नियरेस्ट एरिया है जो 5 किलोमीटर दूर है और यहाँ पे आप जाके अपनी नेक्स्ट राइड ले सकते हैं. सो it's a combination of how you put it on, we call it product development और UI, कि ऐप पे या मोबाइल साइट पे इसको इंफॉर्मेशन को कैसे लेके आओगे. सेकेंड इज मे बी आपको कॉल कर करके कैब ड्राइवर्स को बतानी है ये बात. थर्ड इज मे बी आपको ड्राइवर्स को या ड्राइवर्स का कोई लीडर होता होगा उसको ये बात समझानी है, सो दैट वीक में एक दिन ही इज कॉलिंग ऑल द ड्राइवर्स एंड ही इज टेलिंग कि यार ये ऐप में नया फीचर आया है, आपको इसको ऐसे ऐसे देख के. एंड मे बी फॉर सम टाइम Uber would have given an incentive to the drivers to take a airport booking, could be, so that their acceptance improves. Anyone else? Any thoughts? Anything that maybe Uber have, they have not thought of, but that could be a hypothesis to test. In that case, we can give this information to Ronit.
Ravi Shukla is saying it should be in regional language as well.
Ravi, it is there.
I guess there is
Yeah.
this.
The apps are in the, especially the driver apps. I think it's in a regional language.
They can select
Yeah,
their.
maybe I have not seen that. Maybe.
You have not seen that. Okay.
Yeah.
No, Hindi, I'm sure it's there. And I have
Yeah,
also
Hindi
seen
is
a
there.
couple
Yeah,
of-
I know that.
Yeah. And I think I have seen one app which was in Punjabi also, because when I was in my hometown, I saw a person using it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Or it could be the recent development, because it's not that easy to do. Regional language, especially on an apps, it's still a challenge. Using
Considering the
Google
number of
Translate and everything.
languages that we have in
Yeah,
India.
Yes. Yes. True. Okay, I'm just taking a 2 to 5 minute of a pause here because I'm tired. But there is the case study is still there. Okay, it's just a part one. But
Yeah,
in the
sure.
meantime, I would like to know your thoughts, guys.
Yeah. Actually, I'm working in pharma industry last 14 years, and so I have found some use of data and how can tackle the thing, because sometimes we discuss the thing, keep on calling the people, but didn't get the actual like deal of the things. When
Yeah.
I was in pharma, so it was in 2013 onwards. So I was in sales earlier. I have worked in sales earlier, starting phase. Then I have moved in analytics. So I have joined as working on Excel, then Tableau, Power BI, like that.
Right.
So I have done some, because what happens, some of people is not the same way. People are not, because we have started mobile reporting. So concern was that people used to report call by call. If he had an one call for doctor, he gave me whatever. So he has to report on regular interval. And so what happened, we are not getting the compliance in. So what happened, management also just firing the people, and department, you are not able to do like execute the thing properly. Then I'll run a campaign to Suja. I have hired, just taking help of 3 people who admin department. I have to call the people while reporting. So we are giving very confidence. We are not going to do anything against you. Just let me know what the reason behind it. People told me ki I don't have time and I miss it because I didn't get time at all. So that was, I know that because I was in field. So though I know that was only there. Let's just like pulling the things to go away like that. So I have found the reason is that adoption of new technology. So what I did,
Right.
I start in the morning 9 a.m. just pushing beautiful thoughts. I just set up a 1000 SMS. So with customized name, I'm putting the thought. Dear so and so, good morning. So this is the thought for the day, and I hope you have started working, and we are missing you with first report. So what
Okay.
happened? The compliance goes like 50% up, increase in 1 month. So I think
Right.
that is good. Push notification will help us. So in
Right.
the afternoon, hi dear, I hope you are doing great, and you had your lunch like that. So still the second inning is running. I hope you started working. So after the message gone, then we have found the pattern. When notification goes, after 10 minutes, we get report 30% report immediately. So we are on 10% compliance when it started, and after I think 3 months, we have reached 95% compliance. With
Okay,
the help
great.
of data analytics and notifications. So it helps because we
Yes.
are keep on calling people and nothing will happen. Bombarding with managers and nothing will happen. But data analytics helps.
Right. That's right. It does. And a very important point you said that the acceptance is very low. Actually, now I usually have this discussions with the product managers or the CPO, and I always say one very famous dialogue. तो वो क्या होता है ना, प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर्स या सीपीओ कहता है यार हमने ये चीज ऐप पे या मोबाइल साइट पे लाइव कर दी है, हमने ये नया फीचर डाल दिया है, हमने ये पेज के एंड में ये छोटी सी इंफॉर्मेशन लिख दी है, तो कंज्यूमर को पता चल जाएगा. तो मैं उनको हमेशा एक बात कहता हूँ, मैं यार तुमने कभी पुरानी डॉन पिक्चर देखी है अमिताभ बच्चन की? तो दे सेड यस ऑफ कोर्स देखी है. तो उसमें एक डायलॉग था कि ये तुम जानते हो कि ये पिस्तौल खाली है, ये मैं जानता हूँ ये पिस्तौल खाली है, लेकिन नीचे खड़ी पुलिस नहीं जानती. तो सिमिलरली आपने तो डेवलप की है फीचर, तो आपको तो पता है ये फीचर है, आपने मेरे को दिखा दिया तो मैं भी समझ गया, लेकिन कंज्यूमर को थोड़ी ना पता कि ये न्यू फीचर को लाइव किया गया है. तो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू एजुकेट द कंज्यूमर, एंड दैट्स व्हाई यू वुड हैव सीन these days as soon as you download an app, so it will always show you ki, these are a few features, it comes up a pop-up, because that is how you want to educate the consumer कि यार यहाँ पे सेव करोगे या विश लिस्ट देखोगे ये चीज यहाँ दिखेगी, या आप यहाँ पे इसको स्टोर कर सकते हो, ऐसे आप इसको फॉरवर्ड कर सकते हो, ऐसे आप शेयर कर सकते हो. So these new things are coming in an app now, because even PMs and CPOs, they are realizing that it's very important to tell to a consumer that where can they see this feature. And still, most of the features that product team develops, the acceptance of that is very, very low. It's hardly 2 to 5%. And this is, I'm really talking from my experience of from the last 16 years and different brands that I've worked on. और हम हमेशा यही करते हैं कि यार ठीक है, दिस इज मे बी सॉर्टिंग एक फीचर है, तो आप Amazon पे जाएंगे तो आप सॉर्ट कर सकते हैं चीजों को, राइट, या फिल्टर्स यूज कर सकते हैं. उसका एक्सेप्टेंस यूजली 5% के आसपास होता है. वी ऑलवेज से कि द टारगेट इज टू टेक this usage to say 10%. And how can we do it? Then we run a lot of experiments there. We show a pop-up, we show it as a by default bar. अब तो आपने देखा होगा कि कभी आप Amazon की ऐप देख रहे होगे तो बीच में कार्ड्स आते हैं कि प्राइसिंग. So let's assume you're looking at shoes. Let's say कि up to 1,000 rupees, 1,000 to 2,000 like this, because they work as a filters. आप उसको क्लिक करोगे तो आप थोड़ा और refined products देख सकते हो. So this is how the data is helping people to come up with a new solution on a website or an app, and that is how the acceptance slowly goes up. But thank you for sharing this, Ravi.
Yeah, because accept in terms of adoption, I have found that my approach was like it is made for company to report it. When I change the thought process, it is made for you people to organize yourself, not for the company. Then the adoption is going up.
True.
Because when approaching towards from company to the user, then I realize that it's for made for user, not for the company. So how user get benefited. So right. I realize then if you report properly, no need to maintain your hard copy anything. You have to be check report. Your manager can check anytime. So no need to send mail every time. So the reason is that when I realized and think this is made for user, how user get benefited, it has to be highlighted.
True. True.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So shall we move forward?
Sure, we can.
Great.
Yeah, go ahead.
So now the things that didn't stop here for Uber. So Uber said that, okay, fine, we have created these search models. We have created those hotspots in the city. We have educated the cab drivers. We are seeing some improvement. So it's not like this. There could be a deeper problem. Can we do some more hypothesis testing? So the next hypothesis testing that they do was, and they looked at this data and they realized that the bookings, the number of bookings to the airport are way higher than number of bookings from an airport, right? So अगर 1,000 लोग आज दिल्ली में एयरपोर्ट तक जाते हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं 1,000 नहीं तो 800 लोग तो एयरपोर्ट से वापस भी आने चाहिए. आज नहीं तो कल आ जाएंगे, कभी तो वापस आएंगे वो, राइट? और इन एनी अदर सिटी फॉर दैट मैटर, एयरपोर्ट से गया तो कहीं एयरपोर्ट ही जाएगा. और मोस्ट ऑफ द सिटीज जहाँ पे एयरपोर्ट्स हैं वहाँ पे उबर भी फंक्शनल है, except for a couple of examples, maybe say Goa, I know one city for sure. So then they said, why is it that the number of bookings from an airport is significantly lower compared to what it is to the airport? अब इसका तो मतलब there's no data as such to realize this, that why are people even doing those kind of bookings, right? And then they again went deeper into their hypothesis and they created a few hypotheses. But before that, can I know from you why would that be कि आप एयरपोर्ट जाने के लिए तो उबर बुक कराओगे लेकिन एयरपोर्ट से आने के लिए उबर बुक नहीं कराओगे? What could be the probable reasons as a consumer? Maybe you can say.
While going, we leave from house, so it is we'll have that need to book, and while coming from the airport, we'll have the local ones over there. Maybe they'll cost less than Uber.
Okay, perfect. Vaishnavi, thank you.
Mostly it's due to the priority of making a trip. It's always on a higher priority that you will be missing. So there isn't more emergency. It's all about higher the emergency, higher you would be going to pay it. So we have lesser emergency, so like more options. You have more options, or this you'll choose it.
So basically what you're saying is that at least while going, you know that my flight is in this time and I need to reach by then. वापस आते हुए तो घर ही आना है, अगर आधा घंटा लेट भी आ गया तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, right?
Like, I should not say this, but technically people are like too much intolerant.
नहीं, I agree. As a consumer, मेरे को तो यही होगा ना, हाँ 5 बजे की फ्लाइट है, 3 बजे तक एयरपोर्ट पहुंचना है. अब 3 बजे तक एयरपोर्ट पहुंचना है तो ठीक है, मैं एक काम करता हूँ, कैब वैब में जाता हूँ आराम से. और वापस आना तो घर ही जाना है यार, ठीक है, मतलब ऑटो भी चलेगा, रिक्शा भी चलेगी, मे बी बस भी, लोकल बस भी चलेगा।
या द सेम थिंग, यही
Right.
यही होता है, सबका सोच यही होता है। इवन मी दो आई एम यूजिंग,
Right.
मेरा भी यही सोच होगा।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। ओके ग्रेट। एनीवन एल्स? 5 आंसर्स, 2 ही हुए अभी।
Sir,
हाँ जी।
it's my opinion that when customers are in the journey, they cannot book the Uber cabs. By the time I can start here and I can departure arrival, it's arrival time, so that I can book a cab. Like I'm just expecting because of journey and immediately taking after reaching there, uh, they might not. It might be the problem. I think no.
Sorry, I didn't understand it well, Rajalakshmi. Are you trying to say कि एयरपोर्ट से कैब बुक कराना, मतलब it's tough, it's challenging?
No, sir. Maybe in the journey we cannot book the Uber or something. After getting off the flight, we need to wait to book. Maybe that.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes. We need to
Yes.
wait. Absolutely.
So
Okay.
then go to
Thank you.
the local ones instead of
राइट, हाँ, मतलब लोकल कैब तो वहीं खड़ी है, और उबर को करेंगे तो वो आएगी और फिर 5-10 मिनट वेट करना है, अब आधा घंटा है, 15 मिनट है, आई डोंट नो। ठीक है, ओके, परफेक्ट। कम ऑन पीपल, ओला उबर तो आप रोज यूज करते हो, किसी का तो कोई अलग होगा थॉट प्रोसेस। लेट्स हियर फ्रॉम प्रतिभा एंड शालिनी।
Okay, so I have experienced that whenever you get off the flight, it takes a longer waiting time so that cabs can come. And even if the cabs come, there's a long queue of the other cabs that were previously booked. So we'll
राइट,
have to any which ways wait for our numbers to come, our
राइट,
cabs to
ट्रू,
come. Yes.
ओके, यस प्रतिभा, थैंक यू। वन लास्ट।
Yes, even I experience the same thing. Sometimes from airport and other thing, like in Delhi NCR, that's the problem. From Delhi to NCR, they are not ready to come directly. There will be some extra charges, and then they say
Right.
we will not get more options. So these are very major. So sometimes they cancel number of times go in interchanging the states. This is the major issue which I face number of time whenever I'll traveling from Noida to Delhi or from Delhi to Noida. So this is major
Right.
thing.
Okay. Perfect. So, okay, thank you so much, everyone. And you will all be glad to know that these are actually some consumer behavior, right? People think this कि हाँ यार, जब तो एयरपोर्ट जाना है तो एक टाइमलाइन है मेरे पास कि मुझे 3 बजे तक एयरपोर्ट पहुंचना है, बट वापस आने में मे बी व्हाट आई थिंक इज कि अरे घर ही तो जाना है, तो ठीक है, मैं आई कैन टेक प्रोबेबली एन ऑटो, राइट, और आई कैन प्रोबेबली टेक अ लोकल बस इफ आई नो द सिटी वेरी वेल। सेकंड थिंग, एज प्रतिभा सेड, कि कई बार क्या होता है, आप जब बाहर आते हो तो ऑलरेडी बहुत सारी कैब्स, क्योंकि सभी कैब्स बुला रहे हैं आप, ठीक है, फ्लाइट आई है, एक अच्छे खासे लोग उससे उतरेंगे, दे वुड बुक कैब, तो आपका वेटिंग टाइम बहुत हाई होता है। तो कई बार आप क्या करते हैं, आप उतरते हैं और आप देखते हैं कि वहां पे जो लोकल कैब्स होती हैं, यू ट्राई टू गेट दैट बिकॉज आपको पता है इट्स स्टैंडिंग राइट नियर, यू नीड नॉट इवन वेट फॉर द कैब टू कम। थर्ड थिंग, इतना इनकन्वीनियंट होता है कि आप निकलते हैं, फिर आप कैब ड्राइवर को कॉल करते हैं कि आप कहाँ पे हो, अरे मैं पिलर नंबर 3 के पास हूँ, मैं गेट नंबर 7 पे हूँ, अच्छा आप 7 पे आ जाइए, मैंने वहाँ पार्किंग नहीं है, आप एक काम कीजिए, आप रोड के पास आइए, एंड देन यू हैव लगेज। सो यू थिंक यार ये तो बहुत चैलेंजिंग है, इससे बढ़िया मैं ये जो पास में ऑटो खड़ा है या लोकल कैब खड़ी है या बस है, आई लेट मी बोर्ड इट। Many a times what happens is, let's assume, ठीक है, डोंट लाफ एट इट। सो जब आप हॉलीडे पे जाते हैं, तो जब आप जर्नी शुरू करते हैं और आपने एयरपोर्ट जाना होता है, तो आपके पास एक बजट होता है कि ठीक है यार, हॉलीडे पे जा रहे हैं, पैसा वैसा खर्चेंगे, तो आप कहते हो चलो यार कैब में चलते हैं, और वापस आते तक बजट सब हिल चुका होता है। अब जेब में बचे होते हैं 50-60-100 रुपए, 200 रुपए, तो आपको लगता है यार जितना पैसा खर्च होना था वो हो गया, let me take probably a reasonable source of transportation and go back home. This is also somewhere in behavior, these kind of things come up. And that's exactly what Uber did. They started writing all these hypotheses. They started calling a consumer to try to understand कि ऐसा क्यों होता है कि वो एयरपोर्ट से कैब को बुक नहीं करते, right? And this is exactly problem they wanted to realize. So एक चीज जो उन्होंने जो realize की वो ये थी कि people said it's very challenging to even book a cab. तो कई बार क्या होता है नेटवर्क ही नहीं मिल रहा होता आपको एयरपोर्ट पे, ठीक है? And that's when Uber said कि कुछ एयरपोर्ट्स पे there's a Uber Wi-Fi now, so that you connect it for free and you can use the app. So one convenience, this is how Uber started giving this convenience to the consumers. Second, if you would have seen, especially in the Bangalore airport, I know there's a dedicated parking slot for Ola and Uber cabs. So that means वहां पे आपकी cabs हमेशा खड़ी रहती हैं ताकि ये जो आपका वेटिंग टाइम है कि यार कैब वाला आएगा फिर वो कहाँ होगा, एटलीस्ट आपको पता है कि मैं निकलूंगा और ये साथ में पार्किंग एरिया है, माय कैब वुड बी स्टैंडिंग देयर एंड इट्स लाइक रेडी टू गो. तो आपका वेटिंग एरिया जो है वो बच जाता है. Third thing is they started with a feature called pre-booking at the destination airport. So for example, if you are booking a cab from Delhi and then it started giving, I don't know whether it's live now or not, or they did a testing, but they said that, okay, Uber is available in all these cities. If you are going to any such city, you can pre-book an Uber cab from your destination city so that a cab driver is waiting for you when you land there. So these are few of the things that Uber thought of, and they started materializing it, and they just started creating or investing money to give this kind of a incentive or friendliness to the consumers, so that their bookings on Uber should increase, and that means more business for Uber. Was it interesting? Frankly, when I read it, I found it very interesting because I could relate with it. I could relate with both the parts. As a consumer, what are the challenges I am facing, and as an analytics, what kind of numbers are we seeing and what kind of trends that we can see and how I can check the impact of it. Yes, no, maybe not really.
Yes, sir.
Eating our time. We are slept. We are having breakfast.
It was really interesting.
Sushma and Kasturi agrees with you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. So let me move forward and tell you more about, so we are done with the case study, by the way. Now from Uber case study, we are done, but I want to tell you that what exactly does a business intelligence team do? What are the different functions even within a BI team? What kind of a role you guys can take up? What kind of tools, techniques you need to educate yourself on? And more importantly, you need to be very clear what you want to do even within a business intelligence team. So business intelligence is like marketing. Marketing में भी अगर आप देखोगे ना, तो there are 7-8 things. There's advertising, right? There is social media. There is paid campaigns and promotions. There is branding. There is hoardings and offline. तो ये सब कुछ होता है. And the same person cannot do everything, right? Google पे ads चलाने वाले बंदे को नहीं पता कि hoardings कैसे लगनी चाहिए, किस स्टाइल की लगनी चाहिए. उसको ये नहीं पता कि अगर एड बन रही है तो एड की स्क्रिप्ट क्या हो, क्या मैसेजिंग हो. ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है, right? They all are different. They all have different competencies. Similarly, within BI team, most of the companies these days think कि यार मेरी कंपनी में एक वेब एनालिस्ट होगा, एक एनालिस्ट होगा, सारा डेटा यही क्रंच करेगा, डेटा भी यही देखेगा, ट्रेंड्स भी यही बताएगा, डैशबोर्ड भी यही बनाएगा, मेरी बिजनेस भी यही सॉल्व करेगा. And this is one of the biggest challenges that I found with most of the companies, most of the startups. Whereas in the last 2 years, I've realized that businesses now started thinking कि नहीं यार, we need to allocate a particular budget for a BI team. There have to be 5, 10, 15, 20 member team who are continuously looking at the trends and the data and cleaning it and putting it together so that they can create some kind of a model on it. They can predict, they can make sure that how I can engage a consumer, how can I convert every customer coming on my app or on my website. That means it's more business for more revenue for the business, right? So coming back to what does a BI team do? BI team they provide data for sure, right? That is the first and the basic thing. Now, what kind of a data do they provide? So for example, when it comes from the top or head of sales or head of marketing, they want to say that, okay, can I know the day-to-day sales? Can I know number of orders by my categories? तो Amazon की बात करें तो वो मे भी ये पूछते होंगे कि ठीक है यार, मोबाइल की कितनी सेल्स हुई, बुक्स की कितनी सेल्स हुई. इनके कैटेगरी मैनेजर्स होंगे सब कैटेगरी के, तो दे वांट टू सी द डेली ट्रेंड की रोज कितने ऑर्डर्स आ रहे हैं. रोज के रोज कितने कैंसिलेशन होते हैं। ऑपरेशंस वाले बंदे को देखना होता है कि ठीक है 24 आवर डिलीवरी वाले कितने मेरे ऑर्डर एक्चुअली में 24 आवर्स में डिलीवर हुए। हम फर्न्स एंड पेटल्स में वी चार्ज समथिंग फॉर अ मिडनाइट डिलीवरी। वी से कि ठीक है यार यू कैन पे एक्स्ट्रा, तो आपकी गर्लफ्रेंड का बर्थडे है, यू वांट अ केक टू बी सेंट एट मिडनाइट एंड यू आर पेइंग अस एक्स्ट्रा फॉर दैट। सो वी कीप अ ट्रैक ऑन इट कि वो मिडनाइट डिलीवरी जब हमने कहा तो वो मिडनाइट पे ही थी। एंड व्हाट डज मिडनाइट मींस? इज इट 11:45 to 12:15 और इज इट लाइक 12:30? इवन 12:15 भी कई बार एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं होता है, तो लोग कॉल कर देते हैं पूरे 12 बजे, अरे केक ऑर्डर नहीं हुआ, केक डिलीवर नहीं हुआ। तो वी वांट टू मेक श्योर द ऑपरेशंस गाय नीड टू सी दिस डेटा डेली कि यार कितने ऐसे ऑर्डर थे जो इन टाइम होने चाहिए थे, हुए या नहीं हुए, और नहीं हुए तो क्यों नहीं हुए। जोमेटो की बात करें, दे वुड वांट टू सी कि जोमेटो में आप देखते होंगे कि योर ऑर्डर विल बी डिलीवर्ड विद इन से 34 मिनट्स। नाउ दे कीप अ ट्रैक ऑफ इट कि अगर हमने 34 कहा तो 34 में दिया, मतलब 33 तक भी दिया तो इट्स ओके, लेकिन अगर वो 35 है दैट मींस देयर इज सम प्रॉब्लम इन अवर डिलीवरी, इन अवर ऑपरेशंस। ठीक है, डू आई नीड टू चेंज दिस टाइम ऑफ दिस रेस्टोरेंट एंड से कि यार 35 में नहीं, 45 मिनट्स में डिलीवर हुआ करेगा। ठीक है, so like this there are people who are just extracting all these data and they are giving it to people. कई बार बहुत ad hoc data चाहिए होता है। For example, there's a meeting that a person has with one of the partners and they are thinking of some kind of a co-branding. So एक particular category में कितने users आते हैं, उनका month on month trend, week on week trend, new customers, old customers, repeat customers. These are some very common metrics, and there is a lot of demand for this kind of a data. Ad hoc, we call it ad hoc requests, right? They keep on coming. So आप अपना काम कर रहे होते हैं, कोई interesting project कर रहे होता है, suddenly you will get a mail or a message from someone, very quickly can I get this data? But now you need to spend at least 15, 20, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours to extract that data. So there is one part of the BI team which is to provide these data on an ad hoc request. The second is to create an MIS. What exactly is MIS? Anyone if heard of this name?
Is this information management system?
Exactly.
Yes, that's right. Management information system.
Management of information and systems.
Yes.
Like
Right.
real-time analyst. It's a real-time analyst job, if I'm not wrong. Workforce management is one of MIS.
Right.
Management.
So it can be real time. It can be till yesterday. It can be till previous month. It's fine. But this is more like a.
In terms of workforce management, it would be real time. क्योंकि scheduling करना पड़ता है.
Exactly. Operations वाले को real time चाहिए होता है. उसे तो ये देखना कि आज जो ऑर्डर निकले हुए हैं वो क्या है, जो डिलीवर हो गया वो तो हो गया, वो लेट हुआ जल्दी हुआ वो बाद में देखेंगे. But how many people are on the fleet at this moment? So that is real time. MIS also means that, as I said, कि maybe company head wants to see कि मेरे सारी जो categories हैं उनके क्या trends चल रहे हैं. Can I see the month on month trend? Can I see the week on week trend? So they want these dashboards to be created. Usually Tableau, Power BI, Redash, and they're like millions of thousands of tools now which you can use for business intelligence. So what happens is the data is embedded at the back end, and in front end आप date change करो, आप today लिखो, yesterday लिखो, previous month select करो, and the data just gets updated. So you can see कि कितना sale हो रहा है, कितने orders हो रहे हैं, कितना cancellations हो रहा है, कितने discounts दे रहे हैं, कहाँ पे dip आ रहा है, conversion rate ऊपर जा रहा है, नीचे जा रहा है. All those things you can create in either a dashboard or an MIS. MIS is more mainly into Google spreadsheets or Excels, which you share with the stakeholders. The third thing that a business intelligence team does is they do a root cause analysis, right? For example, me and my team, we look at the data every week. Every Monday morning, we go and look at the major business KPIs and we see the trend. अब मान लो एक ट्रेंड आया कि यार कन्वर्जन रेट पिछले 3 हफ्ते से गिर रहा है, ठीक है, तो माय वर्क इज नॉट ओनली टू से कि यार आपने तो डैशबोर्ड मांगा था, मैंने डैशबोर्ड बना दिया, आई एम गिविंग इट टू यू, नाउ यू सी व्हाट इज हैपनिंग. एज अ बीआई पर्सन दिस क्वेश्चन कम्स बैक टू मी कि रजत, why is it that we are seeing a dip in a conversion, right? So that is when we get deeper into the data. We see कि ठीक है, जो ट्रैफिक हमारी वेबसाइट पे आ रहा है, किस तरह के लैंडिंग पेजेस पे आ रहा है, किस तरह के चैनल से आ रहा है, इज इट पेड, इज इट ऑर्गेनिक ट्रैफिक, कोई एसएमएस कैंपेन रन किया था, कोई नोटिफिकेशन ऐसी चली गई that people are coming but they are not converting, या किसी ऐसे लैंडिंग पेज पे वो आ रहे हैं जो प्रोडक्ट शायद अवेलेबल ही नहीं है, ठीक है, तो maybe there's 2000 people yesterday clicked on one link and when they came on the website we said it's out of stock. So why have we given this kind of a product in our promotions? So we do a lot of root cause analysis to find it out. Is it a traffic problem? Is it कि maybe pricing change हुआ है? Is it that maybe हमारे campaigns ऐसे जा रहे हैं live या ऐसा हमने campaigns run करने शुरू कर दिए where we are not getting the right target audience, or there is competition which is eating into us. Even अगर organically, मतलब जब आप Google पे search करते हैं, जो results आते हैं, that's a organic traffic. We have done this analysis that if the rank of our position falls from number 1 to number 2, maybe the impact is not that much on the traffic, but there's a high impact on the conversion rate, because maybe the consumers, उनका intent बहुत clear होता है जब वो first link पे click करते हैं, लेकिन second, third, fourth पे वो तब आते हैं जब उनका वहां से objective complete नहीं हो रहा होता. So that means their intent goes down. Maybe more people are opening the web pages, but they are not converting. So like this, we do a lot of root cause analysis to figure it out, that why revenues, why number of orders, why conversion rate, why cost of acquisition, why average transaction value, they are going down. Even if it's going up, then also the question comes to us that what is it that we did yesterday that our ATV is going up, our cost of acquisition is going down, the bounce rate has gone down, things like that, right? So that is when you need to see the data from every angle. There's a very fine example that one of my previous bosses gave me, that, you know, business intelligence team, they do a very important task because they need to see the data from every angle. So he always told me this pink elephant story. The elephant story. So he said that, you know what, a lot of people were made to stand near an elephant, right? And they all were like blindfolded. And then they said, you touch this and you tell me what is it. So there was a person who was standing in the front. He touched the trunk and he said that, okay, it looks like it's a trunk of an elephant. I said, fine. There was another person who was standing at the back. So he touched the tail and he said, it looks like it's sort of a tail. I don't know what animal it is, right? The third person who was standing on the side, someone touched the ears, someone touched the legs. So the product team, they always see the data from their own angle. But the business intelligence person is one who sees it from the top, and he can tell that, you know what, actually it's an elephant. And you are just that people ideally need to understand the marketing, the product, the operations, and everything else. And that is when they should tell the business that, you know, this problem is because of maybe these 3 reasons, rather than just one reason or one hypothesis that you are looking forward to. You are looking at. The fourth thing that we do is we do a lot of business analysis. When I say business analysis, it's more like maybe this kind of the case study. This is a typical business analysis, right? You know, why is it that from airports my conversions are dropping or the acceptance is not that high? So this is a business analyst where you need to spend a dedicated few days or months or sometimes years to gauge a problem. And the last one is the advanced analytics. And when I say advanced analytics, it's mainly like probably creating a scorecard. So you need to, you know, give a score to all your consumers to figure out at which are my top 10% of the consumers who are like my prime customers, and whether they are attriting or not, right? Whether they are giving business, whether they are coming back on the platform very frequently or not. Similarly, you need to create, you need to give us some kind of scoring to your vendors sometimes, right? That now that I have so many delivery partners, whom should I focus on so that he can deliver in time and he can get a very good NPS. So like this, there are a lot of AI, ML driven projects, they all come under this window. Any questions there here? Or anything that I would missed? In business analysis, usually the web analytics also come into play, that how are people coming on your websites and how are they consuming the web portals. Was this clear? Was this something you already knew? Was it something new to you? Maybe you can share those thoughts also. So this is how I have just tried to compute that what kind of a skill set or the competencies you would need if you are taking any one particular role, right? Now, there's always a very high need for a data analyst, because you need a lot of people to do a lot of crunching on the numbers and give you on almost real time, right? So this person need to have a very good understanding of the data, right? कौन से टेबल में कौन सा डेटा पॉइंट स्टोर्ड है, कैसे मुझे अलग अलग टेबल्स को क्लब करके ये डेटा निकालना है. So this is what this person should know. And therefore, his understanding of mainly SQL as a language or R Python is the new languages which are coming in this window. So that is what they need to know if you want to become a data analyst. Might or might not be, you need to have an understanding of Tableau, which is still okay. But again, and a very good understanding of business. If you are just starting in your career, business understanding takes a lot of time to learn, because for that you need to go to a lot of meetings and try to understand that, how the company's strategies are being designed. So it comes over the time. Maybe sometimes you don't get the first-hand information of that, but it's very critical. The more understanding you have about business and the data, the better it is for you to grow as a data analyst. If you want to become an MIS or a dashboard expert, over and above the data and a business understanding, what is also important to know is the knowledge of those tools, especially the Power BIs and the Tableaus, which are like the market leaders at this point of time. There's one more concept which I always try to find when I hire someone in my MIS or dashboard team is, how simply can you put the things, right? It's always very easy to put a lot of trends and charts in one go, in one dashboard, and show you everything. But does that dashboard answer the questions that you want to see? Answer is probably no, because when there are so many numbers, so many trend lines, believe me, as a data analytics guy, sometimes we get confused. Think of a CEO who has thousands of other things to see. If you show him a data with around 12 charts, he's like confused. I don't want to see this. You just tell me what is the summary of this. So it's one art that you need to have to how to put the right chart, the right storyline, and put it very, very simply. And whatever is it that you can put it in my dashboard number 2 or dashboard number 3, but maybe as a by default, these are like 4 or 5 metrics that I want to show. A typical business analyst need to again have a very good data and business understanding. His business understanding should be very high because he is now defining a problem. आप जब ऐसे जैसे एयरपोर्ट वाली प्रॉब्लम है, ठीक है, आपको कोई कहेगा तो ही विल से कि मेरे को बस आप ये बताओ कि एक्सेप्टेंस राइट एक्सेप्टेंस रेट क्या है. नो वन विल एक्चुअली टेल यू कि यार एयरपोर्ट से देखना था, नहीं देखना था, कैंसिल बुकिंग्स लेनी है, कंफर्म लेनी है, time wise देखना है, नहीं देखना, ये ऐसा no one is going to give you this information. No one has that time or understanding for that matter. Also, as a business analyst, it sometimes becomes your responsibility to see the various cuts and then say ki, what, I was looking at these trends, but when I saw it as a time basis, when I saw it as a price basis, when I saw it at location basis, that is when I realized that these are 2 or 3 problem areas, right? So you need to have a very good understanding of a business, and a lot of common sense also comes in. The web analytics people really need to have a very good understanding of Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics, because again, these two are, market leader products. There are many more now coming, like Mixpanel, Amplitude, and Clever Tap and things like that. So, but you need to understand how the data is being stored. What are the kind of events that you get fired on the website? What kind of parameters are being stored? Can I really find it out that a person coming on an Amazon searching for a mobile phone in the 10 to 15,000 of a bucket? How is his journey? What all mobile phones has he seen on the website? And can I see the conversion rate of those people or not? And the data scientists, these are the people that I was talking about, the advanced analytics. They are usually the data scientists. Again, over and above the data and business understanding, one thing that they need to know is the SQL and the next level of R and Python, so that they can fetch a big data and they can see the trends and then come up with some kind of a scorecard, or they can do product recommendation and then give a rating to each and every product, so that is how products will appear on your website basis of a different consumer. If you would have seen, sorry, I'm again giving an example of Amazon, because Amazon is one of the companies which are really using data real time. If all of us open our Amazon app today, all of us will see a different homepage. Why is it? Because there's a lot of data that has gone at the back end based on your past behavior, based on the behavior of all the people who were like you, who have bought similar products in the past. That is how they define your homepage. So that is why all of us will see a different products recommended on the homepage. Hope that answers your question. Rajat Lakshmi, I think you asked this question, right?
What will come under advanced analytics? What are the skills?
See, the skill set that comes there is, so you need to become a data scientist, and the kind of a projects that you do is either creating a machine learning model there, or you need to define an AI methodology so that how could your chatbots or how does a product recommendation can work. And or probably you sometimes need to create a lot of scorecards and scorecards too for your products or for your consumers or for your vendors, so that you can say that these are my top 10 or top 15% of the consumers, not only on the basis of revenue, but on many more parameters, on the number of bookings they have done in the past, the number of acceptances they have given in the past, the number of positive feedbacks they have given you in the past, things like that.
Sir, and one more question I'm having, like SaaS is it a related subject to the business intelligence? Will it be
I'm sorry.
SaaS,
Sorry, what is it?
statistical
SaaS.
analysis system?
Right. So SAS is, I think, one of the languages where you do a lot of coding, because I use it approximately 10 years back. I'm not sure if there's a new version of that, but we used to use it for coding. It was just like SQL.
Yeah, SAS is a code generation language.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. But is it useful?
Yeah, it is specifically
It is.
designed for specific domains, like for hospital and for banking. They have specifically designed that particular language. It's a paid language. So for that specific purpose, we use that language. So just like Python and R is open source, but SAS
Yes.
is not totally open source. There is for learning purpose, they have launched the academic, but that's a paid language. And you will that actually works like we design something for specific things, and that language is also designed for that.
Is it beneficial after taking the business intelligence course and SAS as well? Like so many skills they are mentioning in the PG. Like
yes. So Raja Lakshmi, let me tell you one thing, that in the last 16 years, I have seen so many things changing, right? This R and Python, which is in a trend, I think in 2025, maybe you would be saying that this is a language of a past. There is something new language that has come up, right? So it's always about a trend, right? This AI ML that you are talking about today as one of the fancy things, maybe 3 years, 5 years down the line, you might think that this is a common thing. Ye to har kisi ko aana hi chahiye. So over the time, things changed. SAS, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when I started the career, SAS was an open source language at that time. It was free of cost and we used to use it extensively. But over the time, they made it as a paid product because it was in demand and they wanted to encash that. And that is when slowly the companies started moving to SQL and now R and Python. So whatever you learn, it doesn't go waste. If you are really interested in learning coding and how to define the complete program, then it's always great to learn SAS as a language. And then I think it's very similar then to switch from SAS to SQL and maybe to R or Python also.
Thank you, sir.
Rajat, Ravi Shukla is asking, what is the basic difference between data analytics and data science? And what are the skill sets required?
Right. So, Ravi, good question. Frankly, to most of the people, they even the organizations, they don't know the difference between data analytics and data science, right? They'll go to different campuses and they'll say that we want to hire people for data science projects, and they end up asking them to create an MIS, right? And I'm sorry, but this is how the Indian industry, even the global industry works, right? I went to a couple of interviews to apply in that organization, and they said that, what, we wanted to have someone who can create an AI and ML models. So I said, okay, fine. But what kind of a problem you want to solve? So they had no problem even in mind. But since they heard about this word AI and ML and they saw that most of the companies are asking for AI and ML, they think, no, we want someone who can come and bring this. I said, wait, fine, I can create those models, but what kind of business problem you want me to solve? They had no answer to that. So from a data point of view, I think the data analytics guy usually works on a very day-to-day problems, it's not a very, very long-term problem, and the impact is immediate. So for example, when we were talking about this Uber case study, has to be done by a typical data analytics person, right? But when I said that they have created those hotspots and they have created these different clusters, usually that kind of a work is done by a data scientist, because data scientist has more technological knowledge. He knows the R and the Python language efficiently. He knows where all the different data points are kept and what all variables should be used. Data analytics usually looks at the things from the major KPIs, the 4, 5, 10 KPIs that a business is tracking, and then try to find out why is this happening. Whereas a data scientist looks at all other variables. It could be dependent or independent variables, but then he says based on those things that, you know what, there is a 20% chance that this non-dependent variable is also impacting the numbers. And maybe we need to start looking at these various variables which were not part of our day-to-day conversation earlier. Hope that answers.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Rajat. Because why I'm asking it, I'm getting a job for the data analysis, data science. The JD is 100% same. So that's why I confused. I have done something wrong either, because I'm not the n number of companies giving
Right.
even in interview also. I've been asked data analytics for data science.
True.
I was confused. Both are same designation, same working.
Sure.
But that's why I asked. Thank you.
All right. Atul asks, what about non-technical background? Atul,
Yes.
can you elaborate your question? I mean, non-technical background in the sense?
Yes, sir. I am from non-technical background, and I have the only question. I have two options. I go ahead for Power BI and Tableau, these types of app, and also learn Python or R. It will take around 6 to 7 months. So which is better for me?
Atul, this answer only you have. I don't have that answer. See, one of the things that I realized is, and probably I was also like this, we all want to become what the rest of the world wants to become. So when 20 years ago, when I was doing my studies, everyone said कि यार सारे engineers बन रहे हैं तो तुम भी engineer बन जाओ. मैं कहा यार मुझे नहीं आती physics chemistry, मैं fail हो जाऊंगा, कोई फायदा है उसका. So it was very tough for me to convince कि नहीं, I want to do commerce as a studies, right? Then my father wanted me to be an IPS officer. I said, यार मतलब इतनी study वडी अपने से तो होती नहीं है. I can do an MBA. That's the easiest thing that I can do. So see, it's about what is your interest. Do you really want to create some fancy looking dashboards where, you know, others are consuming it day in and day out? If that's the thing, then go ahead and get yourself trained on Tableau and Power BI. If you are the kind of a person who really want to solve problems and then create models, in that case, usually you will be, you know, sitting in one corner of an office and working on one project for 3 to 6 months, and maybe still your model will not be getting accepted. If you are that kind of a person, but you think कि नहीं यार मुझे तो model बनाना था, मैंने बना दिया, then go ahead and do the R's and the Pythons and understand these languages better. If you want to do a day-to-day operational challenges and see at the numbers and, you know, analyze and find the root cause analysis, then just be a business analyst. It's fine if you know SQL only. It's okay if you don't know the R and Python. It's good to know, because these all the three languages are getting accepted almost in all the organizations. So the more languages you know, it's easier for you to get into one of the organizations. And that is how you will be able to solve problems from various more angles. Because फिर आपके limitation नहीं होगा कि you have to stay dependent on others to extract the data and give it to you, and you are doing all these calculations on Excel or any such tool.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sir, I have a question. Like I have heard that data analytics generally works upon the data which is previously there, and
Yeah.
data this is what which helps in giving like future predictions or making future decisions. Is that
That's
right?
right. Yes. That's absolutely right, Vaishnavi. Yeah, the advanced analytics, the predictive modeling, these AI ML things, they work only on mainly on the future thing, taking into account all the dependent and independent variables and then predict what kind of a sales, what kind of a product sales, what kind of a daily sales can we predict, or is there a chances that insurance industry works on that. It depends on future. यार future में किस को कौन सा disease होगा, किसकी death हो सकती है, किसका accident हो सकता है. On that basis they define your premiums, right? So even if you and me are of the same age and same geography, still our premiums will be different based on the health problems that we are already having, basis whether I'm going outside home or you are not going, based on whether I smoke and you don't smoke, and there are so many such variables that they take into account. Whereas business analytics is mainly around looking at the historic trends, or maybe last 3 months, 1 month, 1 week of a data, can we see that, okay, what is it that was impacting the business and what is it that we are doing right or wrong, and do we need to rectify it, or maybe share the learnings in other verticals of the business.
Thank you, sir.
So I have one more case study which I can talk about in case you guys are interested, and in case you think we are done, बहुत ज्ञान हो गया आज के लिए, तो I think we can also close it.
Rajat, there's one question in the chat box
Sure.
from Shushma. So after answering that, we can definitely move to the other case study as well.
Sure.
The question is Power BI versus Tableau, which is in trend as of now?
Sushma, I'll counter question you. I'll say whether you will drink a Coke or a Pepsi.
The same family.
So exactly. So Power BI and Tableau, they both are same family. The only thing is Power BI is accepted by a few organizations who already have Microsoft products. And since Power BI has a look and feel of an Excel, so people think it's an advanced form of Excel, and that's why sometimes in a few companies, the acceptance is higher. Tableau, on the other hand, has a very different interface. It's much more complex than Power BI. But again, I have not worked a lot on Power BI. I worked on Tableau, so I know about that. And so Tableau is usually accepted by a lot of companies where they have a very huge data, because it really processes the data much more faster. Again, this is my limited knowledge. Maybe Power BI is equally strong. I'm not very sure about that. Ravi, Excel is going to stay. I'm telling you, Excel कभी नहीं मरेगा, जिंदगी खत्म हो जाएगी. दोस्त सिर्फ डेटा एनालिटिक्स को पता होता है कि टेब्लो क्या है, गूगल क्या है, एडोब एनालिटिक्स क्या है, पावर बीआई क्या है, और ये बैकएंड पे जितना भी आर पाइथन क्या है. लेकिन जो आम ऑपरेशंस, प्रोडक्ट मार्केटिंग वाले लोग हैं ना, ये they are living and they will die using Excel and Google spreadsheets only. So it's not going to go anywhere. Don't worry.
Thank you.
And let me tell you one more thing. Again, based on my experience, so I know people who are like Excel experts. ठीक है, जिनको बहुत अच्छे Excel आता है, जिनके shortcuts, they are like too good with that, and they know how to write some complex formulas also. But even their knowledge is only 5 or 7% of what Excel can do. Excel is huge. It's really huge. मतलब आप आज से रोज का एक फॉर्मूला भी सीखेंगे ना, in the next 5 years you will still think कि यार अच्छा इसमें और भी बहुत कुछ है. That's the kind of thing Excel is made up of.
Yeah, you are true. You are very right, because I using Excel since 14 years onwards. When I start company, I was thinking I know Excel 50%. When I go in deeper, now I can understand, I know only 5%.
True. Good.
I can create any type of dashboard better than Tableau and Power BI in Excel.
Right.
But still there's a limitation of Excel, so we cannot go beyond that. But
sure. That I agree, it has some limitations, and that's why you cannot process big data on that. You need to process the data and then bring it in Excel and then work. Yes, true. Great. So let me just move to the next case study, and I'll not take more than 10 minutes there. It's a very small case study, but that is something where I worked on. So let me tell you how I solved that problem, right? So probably 10 more minutes, and then last 5 minutes of question and answers, and then we can move. So you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Great.
Yes, you can see that.
So when I was with Makan.com, so Makan.com is basically a portal where you search a house for either to buy or to rent it out, right? So it's like 99 Acres, Magic Bricks, House Inc. They all are like the same, right? It's giving you same information. In Makan, we had three different major kind of pages, landing pages. One is definitely the home page. So if you open makan.com, whatever page you see, that is what we call as a home page. Then we had a search page. Search pages where, let's assume, so I'm taking an example of say Delhi, and I search for houses on rent in South X, right? So when you search it, a page will open where you will see at least by default 50 houses, different houses. And then you can scroll the page and you can see as many houses are there on that page. This is called a search page. This is more like a listing page where you see all the projects which are available. The third kind of a project was mainly the project page. And when I say project page, it's like we talk about any one project. So for example, in this screenshot, you see this is M3M Golf Estate, right? So if someone is searching for a house in M3M Golf Estate, or he's thinking of buying a house there, he will search for M3M Golf Estate and he will come to this page where he will see only the details related to this particular project, right? Now, what we were doing is, as a company, we were running a lot of paid campaigns on different projects which were like upcoming. And we said that, okay, let people search for a particular project. They'll come to that project. They will see all the information and then they can drop a lead, right? So our ultimate objective of the website was to ask people to drop a lead, right? That's why the CR percentage means conversion rate. So the conversion rate is that how many people are coming on this page or on our website. So let's assume 100 people came and 5 people ended up sharing their contact details, email address, phone number, and dropping a lead. So that means it's a 5% conversion rate. So 5 people are giving us that information. So we were looking at these kind of landing pages and campaigns, and we realized that our market paid campaigns were converting very, very less. They were like 1 or 2% of a conversion rate, especially when the people are coming on these kind of a project pages, right? So we started studying these page, that why is it, and this is across all the projects. So we understand that there's definitely some problem on this project that people are not converting, right? And then we started tracking the data. And from the data, what we realized is when people were scrolling this page, they were not engaging anywhere, right? So, and the reason is that probably because they are just trying to get, the information that they're trying to get is right there. Because you can see the price there, you can see what is the area, you can see whether at what location is this. So even when you scroll down, there are few photographs of the project, there are some builder information, the sector information, things like that, and the page would end. So we realized that, okay, that means probably when people are searching for a project, they want to see where it is, they can see it on this project, and that's the kind of information that they are looking forward to and they're getting it. But we are not helping them move further on the website. There were only 2 avenues from where the person can move ahead. One was, if you see on the top, there is a small search bar just next to the buy button, right? Where you can search for something else and you can move on to the website. The second is probably if you click on the makan.com as a logo, you will go to the homepage. And then again, you need to restart your search. And somewhere there are these small red links. If you see just on sector 65, view price trend and things like that, which were taking you to the rest of the pages. And the engagement rate on all these 3 was very, very negligible. So that means we wanted to create something where people can move forward. And that is when what we did is we created a section at the bottom of the page, which is called similar projects, right? So that in case you are searching for M3M Golf Estate, you came to this page, and when you are scrolling, if you don't like this project and you're not dropping a lead, maybe you can search for any other similar project which is near to this area, which is sector 65 Gurgaon, or in a similar price band. Because I don't want to promote a project which is like, say, only 1 crore to a person who's looking for a project which is like 4 crores and above, right? So like this, we created a similarity of projects and we started recommending. Now that section was almost at the bottom of the page, and we realized that even after releasing that feature, the engagement didn't go up much, right? And yes, there was a bit of an improvement, but not very, very significant. Now, the second thing that we did was we were trying to understand that, okay, how is the conversion rate of other pages? And we realized that when people land maybe from a very similar campaign on a listing page or a search page where they have a lot of options, right? Their engagement is way more higher because now you can see a lot of options. Okay, you were seeing around say 10-15 projects for sure, and hundreds of houses within these projects. So that is where people were clicking, they were checking the photographs, and they were even dropping a lead, right? So we started tracking the conversion rate as well as the engagement rate of the project page as well as the listing page, and we realized there's a huge difference. So that means what was happening is either we change the layout of the project page into a listing page, or we make it easier for people to move from here to a listings page, right? And that's when we did a few experiments. And one of the experiments that we did was we started showing a pop-up on this project page like this. You're looking for properties in M3M Golf Estate. There are these many buy and these many rental properties. Now, what was happening is people were not scrolling through the page. I mean, of course, there's dropout as soon as you start scrolling. So we had to give some information which is at the top of the page. And moreover, this is not a pop-up as such, which is like hindering what you are doing. So this is the kind of the layout that we finally finalized. And as soon as this got live, we found that around 35 to 40% of the people, they started clicking on this page, on this link, and they started going to a search page. And from there, definitely they were having an equally engaging journey. And our conversions now from these paid campaigns where we were spending like lakhs of rupees, the conversion also went up, the engagement also went up, and our cost of acquisition was getting lower. So this is like out of 7-8 experiments that we did, this was finally the experiment that got approved, and it was successful as well. And I think this is still live on Makaan from the last 5 years, because this is some case study I worked on right 5 years ago. It's still there and equally engaging. So this is how sometimes you look at the data, and it's not only about the data of that particular page. Sometimes you need to understand, okay, what is working, what is not working, how can I marry both of them so that people see a better trends and a better path to convert. Any questions there? So since I worked on this case study, so I thought that, okay, I'll also show that how I've been using data in the past. So I'm stopping the sharing now. I am open to any questions. There's one question from Rohit. He has directly sent it to me. He said, sir, what tool got involved and what techniques were needed for brainstorming the solution problem? So my friend, there's no tool as such which helps you solve problems. The only thing that happens in that way, in the way I solve these problems is, first of all, I involve the relevant stakeholders to define what exactly the problem is. The biggest challenge is identifying the problem, right? People say it very easily that, the conversion rates are dropping. Can you identify it? Sometimes it's not even the conversion rate. There could be a bigger problem to that. Is it traffic, right? Or is it the kind of people who are coming on a platform? So you need to identify that if the conversion rate are going down, is it that people are coming on my website, or is it that they are not dropping a lead? So what is there? And then you all need to brainstorm and think about all the possible hypotheses. Spend at least 1 or 2 hours together and quickly look at some numbers, because these hypotheses, many of them will already have some data at the back end. So you can always check whether this hypothesis is right or not, and do a design thinking. So write it down that if this is a problem, if yes, then I'll do this. If no, I'll do this. And then the next thing, if this is a problem, then again, yes, no, and you design it. And then you start working on that project. I'm sure 70-80% time this technique works, and you will get to identify what are, out of the 7-8 hypotheses that you have thought about, maybe there's a problem in 3 of them. And then you see the data and realize that, okay, my problem is actually a mixture of these 3 challenges. And then again, the same set of people need to think of how to fix that problem collectively, either through a product or through educating the consumers or educating the stakeholders, or by doing a pop-up or running a marketing campaign or reducing the price, or whatever different solutions could be there. Hope that answers.
So participants, do let us know if you have any questions. Please unmute yourself and ask.
By the way, I'm just sharing my LinkedIn profile with all of you. In case you are not connected, you can stay connected with me and you can ask me some questions there as well. I'll be more than happy to help coach, train, or if needed, maybe I can offer a job as well.
This is great thing, Rajat.
Yeah.
So this is like, what would you advise out of your 15 years of experience? A fresher, get like I hear so many freshers getting, top rated, like getting placed in top rated companies. So what is that thing which is required, in terms of the technical knowledge or in terms of attitude to, solve that thing? Or what was your, process and like your perspective on handling that first, what we say, first interview, or getting through that first interview? So what would you suggest of we all, like the people over here, like what should be our plan of action for the upcoming things, like areas to
Sure.
work? Yeah, I'm sorry if
So
I'm not put like these things in across, like
no, no,
statement.
it's totally fine, Rohit. So Rohit, when I do an interview, so data experience, this all comes later, right? And I know that even in data analytics, uh, communication is good to have, but conviction is very important, right? So because once you look at the data from different angles, you need to communicate it to the stakeholders, right? What conviction can you provide that is more important rather than your exact communication skills? So that is number one. And number two is your hungriness to solve a problem. ठीक है, अगर if I am hiring a business analyst, right, अगर मुझे उसको रोज का रोज ये बताना है कि यार एक काम करो, look at the traffic trends by channel, so he'll fetch that data and come to me, and then I'll say अच्छा यार एक काम करो, अब इसका conversion rate देखो, he'll go back, he'll fetch out the conversion rate and come to me. Then basically फिर तो या तो मैं ही कर लेता हूँ ये काम, right? Why do I need a business analyst to do that? So ideally we look for a people who can think of various angles, at least 4-5 perspective of how to solve a problem. That's why I always give a lot of riddles to solve, a lot of attitude tests we have. We ask people to solve that. Or I came up with a real-time problem ki, theek hai yaar, let's say you are a business analyst of a very common question that I ask. You are a business analyst of a say IPL team, or you're a business analyst of Zomato, right? Now on a Zomato app, the conversions are declining. What all parameters would you see and check to tell me that why this conversion is dropping? Now I don't have an answer because I have not worked for Zomato. You have not worked for Zomato, but we both are like consumers. So I just wanted to understand what is his thought process. Is he thinking of a traffic? Is he thinking of the various landing pages? Is he thinking of the products, the pricing, the competition, and all these? Are he thinking from that angle or not? If sometimes he says, and I've seen those people, they'll come and they'll say ki, yes sir, because it's a weekday, that's why the conversions are less. मैं कहा यार वो weekday है तो मैं weekday को weekday से benchmark करके बोलूंगा ना कि यहाँ conversion गिरा हुआ है, मतलब ये तो थोड़ा obvious चीज है. तो don't give me anything which is like a hypothesis which can't be justified. Think from a data guy कि मैं कौन-कौन से data metrics को देख सकता हूँ. So that is how I gauge the intelligence of the person.
Thank you so much, Rajat. It was so crisp and precise. Like I got what I want from, like, yeah, I really got the answer. Thank you so much for
Great.
that.
Great.